Hi, everybody. So, welcome to Module 3. And today we are going to be really, with this module, going deep on actually launching your lucrative service. Okay. Now, this is something which a lot of people, I really feel, overthink. Okay. They overthink it and really just make it way too complicated. Ultimately, your service will be lucrative and award-winning when you're passionate about it. And passion isn't, yes, fully enough, meaning you do need to, I think you don't need to have like an MBA and really study business to that degree level, but you do need to be so passionate about whatever your niche is that you want to learn, you genuinely want to learn about marketing and how to do sales calls if that's what you want to do, or however it is that you want to do your business. So really, for me, I find business so fascinating, and what I love about it is it's a form of creation, right? As we discussed in the previous module, it is your sacral chakra being activated, all about creativity and solar plexus with your personal power. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. And I feel most free in my healing business or leadership business because you can really go all out with your message. There's no rules, there's no regulations. Of course, there's business ethics. That goes without saying. If you're here, then I know that you do that anyway. But really, you can just go all out as long as you, have disclaimers and you just like for me, a patient on their patient journey, people have expectations and ideas and concerns, and you have to address them as you go along, just like you would with anything. Any good service leader would do that, okay? But taking those things on board, really, when you're so passionate about wanting to genuinely serve, right, to do it from a place of service, that is the key. And we talked in the previous modules about boundaries and healing around basically around imposter syndrome. If you feel like you've got to feel like you deserve it, you've got to feel like this is the right time, you've got to feel like whatever strategy you're doing, it is the right strategy for you. So if you're not feeling like that, then you will stop yourself from going live, from doing a masterclass, from posting on social media, from just any time will feel like a bad time. Not a bad time, but it will feel like you don't have time, right? You will sometimes just have to make time. You will sometimes have to, like I'm recording this at 11:30 p.m. And that's only because my kids are asleep. We did swimming earlier. And obviously I went to sleep much earlier, but I had my clinic, right? I was doing a clinic, medical clinic, and and I really I'm committed to my business. No one's telling me to do my business. No one's forcing me to do my business. There's no need, right? I'm grateful to have an incredible income, 6-figure income from my career as a doctor, over 6 figures. So that I'm grateful for that. So there's no need, in terms of business. However, I did really start to feel a few years ago that I wanted to do things very differently. Really wanted. I'm Aries, and I'm very much into leadership and like boss energy, and that's so me. And I really felt like I wanted to do things in my own way, and including the healing arts, whatever you want to call it, holistic health. And for me, that was through business. I love having a practice as well, and you can do this online as a practice. But I love doing it in this way. I think it's just so beautiful. I really, really enjoy it. So, the people you meet, the journey that you are on. The thing is, the beauty with being a servant leader. What do I mean by that? I mean that you are a leader. Okay, you're a CEO in your own business. But specifically for me, the cohort that I like to help are those who are in service. Okay, so you're in service. You want to do this in an abundant way, because in order for you to, for example, for me to do this, some certain programs for free on YouTube, to do various free clinics that I have, to do free programs or very low cost programs, or even this live launch right now when I'm doing this completely for free, for those who are watching this live. So, in order to do that, you therefore need to raise your prices and have a certain price point. There's a plethora of price points, right? So nobody has to work with you at a VIP level if they don't want to. However, you have that service available, and it's award-winning for a reason when people know that you are the go-to industry expert. Like for me, I'm not just saying this, but I genuinely don't know anywhere else where you can have a year-long spiritual life and business growth incubator in one. And I feel like where you get one-to-one access to me as well, and an exclusive mastermind, and for such phenomenal value as well. So we're going to go more into that in the next module. But I put everything into my own offer, something which is different elements of offers which have really helped me as I've gone along the way, and also some things which I, had really felt would have really benefited me at different stages of my career, right? So as I had in my coaching career. So for example, when I experienced, one-to-one, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I didn't actually feel like it had to be a one-to-one on video like this. It was more the access within a reasonable time frame. And I felt that made a huge difference because I could actually move forward in my business so quickly. And but equally, not just doing one-to-one. I think you need to be part of a community, of an exclusive mastermind, in order to be, as Jim Rohn says, you are the sum of the 5 people you surround yourself with the most. Okay. And in a business point of view, and even life point of view, it doesn't just mean necessarily your family. It's those who are really aligning with your mindset, or a mindset that you are cultivating. So it's so important to have that exclusive mindset, exclusive mastermind. So in your lucrative service launch, all of this these are the things you need. You need an offer. You need an offer which is an irresistible offer. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that something which people would actually feel like, how could I say no to this? Like, there is no, how could I actually say no to this? And that they genuinely can't find anything better than your offer. And it's not based upon the price point. Okay, so don't think it's about, if I just try, it's like a race to the bottom, like you can be the cheapest. Like, you don't want to do that. And that's not just about money, it's also about a reflection upon your expertise. Okay, and that's just the way the human mind works. But this isn't some sort of manipulation game. Okay, I actually genuinely try that, like a few was it months ago, maybe it was last year, I can't remember, but I was sort of like, okay, well, like I'm a doctor, like I earn really decent income, so maybe I don't need to charge a lot for my coaching. Maybe I'll just do it for free on YouTube, or maybe I'll just do like some low-cost masterclasses and do that monthly, and all of that. And I had phenomenal success with it. I had a lot of people join. But the thing is that the way the human mind works is that people who get things for free will never really take full action. Okay, so initially it feels exciting, it's free, they download it, they probably will never watch through the whole thing. Okay, and I'm not in this for the money. So yes, somebody might feel like, oh, but they paid. But this is bigger than that. This is your legacy, this is your passion, this is your life's work. For me, this is my soul mission. This is not just about money. And there's nothing wrong with money. I think money is good. If we want money to be in circulation, the more that we learn, the more we earn, the more we can give back. And I want us to be able to all do this from a place of luxury. Like, if you could do it in comfort and not worrying about money or anything like that, there's so much more. Trust me, when you're not worrying about money, there is so much more that you can give. And it's not about the length of the recordings of your masterclasses. Like, nobody wants, I think after a certain point, especially high ticket clients, they aren't really looking for, and when I say high ticket, I mean, I would say more than like 2K is the absolute minimum, 5K, but really I'm talking like 10K, 20K, 30K, those kind of clients. Why do we want to work with them? Okay, and this is what I would suggest that you price point your service at. I think you should have a range, like a value stack. So if you haven't read If you haven't read The Expert Secret or .com Secrets, basically by Russell Brunson, definitely read that. So good. But your value stack means that you have literally like, a ladder that you're taking this patient journey through, the client through on a journey. So you can start with free offers, like I have on my YouTube channel, like this program, which is for free, and then you can have low cost offers like my book. When you join my email list, that's for free, or you can buy it on Amazon. I have other books you can buy. You have other masterclasses that are like even $30, okay, that go up to like $300, and they go up to like $1,000. And then I have my coaching used to be around $2,000 for 3 months, and then it became 5K, and now it's 20K for a whole year with one-to-one, or there's 15K if you just want the group. So it really varies, and there's a huge range. Okay, so it's not like that only one thing available. So therefore, people are able to have like a little bit of a taster, see what you like. And most of the time, I find most of my clients normally ascend, through that, and then they want to stay in because it's a membership, so you can just stay in, every single year, because it's business and life growth incubator. So I'd strongly recommend that you go all in on a high ticket service, and the reason why is it's not just the money, but obviously that's life changing for you as a service provider, because when you can really serve from that point, that you're not worrying about money, you provide a much better service. You just do. Okay, you can provide a much deeper transformation for your clients. You can have better resources, better software, right? That you can have. You can have a VA, like I have a VA, it's a part-time VA, and it makes a huge difference. Okay, because you then go into much higher level thinking of, I am a CEO. I'm a leader, I'm a boss, and I'm running my business. This isn't some side hustle. This isn't some, yes, it might be at this point in time that I'm a doctor, and the physical number of hours that I might be working in my business may be much less than I work as a doctor, but that's not for income. That's just because the vocation of a doctor has a certain number of hours that you just have to do, right? And that's why I'm looking for a different way of serving, because although I love being a doctor and a healer, and I think I will continue doing that, I really want to find another way of really serving that isn't just say one-to-one, because I feel like there's a much better way of serving, whilst I can still continue that, vocation as a doctor. So, and that's not just for me, it's for my family, time when I spend with my kids, all of that, yes, but also just for me, the way in which I'm serving, my actual service of being a healer in health. I feel like that could just be done, in my opinion, better when you create your own system, so you're not just dependent on another system. And also, I always taking, like, sometimes I have a phenomenal consult with a patient. I think, I just want to like bottle that up and be able to just give that to everybody. Okay, and that's that is essentially like a course or a mastermind or a program for your service, right? That you feel like you can then regenerate, so everybody can benefit from it. So with your service, you need to have a phenomenal offer. And when it's high ticket, it makes a difference the type of people who want to work with you. They are decision makers, okay? They are decisive. So yes, decision makers, but just generally they're decisive in the actions that they take. So they're much easier to work with. They don't necessarily, even though I have in my 20K mastermind, it's one-to-one, is there every single week. Still, it isn't necessarily that they will need all of that. It's more like they just want that availability of access. So because they're very decisive, they know what their goals are. They do the work. They do the work. A lot of the people I find, it's not the people, it's the mindset. And I was the same. So it was a mindset when I was doing more programs which were like, free, or like a couple of $100, I'm not saying this for everyone, this was just for me, but I just genuinely found that a lot of people may not even turn up to the calls. That's fine. Sometimes people feel they don't need it, but they weren't necessarily doing the work. Like, it's very easy to just watch a lot of videos, a lot of webinars, but you're not actually, and it feels very nice, but you're not actually doing the work, right? So you need to like do the journaling, the meditation, doing the workbooks. You need to do all of those things. That makes a huge difference in actually the implementation of the program. Okay, so I would strongly recommend that when you have high ticket, whatever that means for you, I would say 5K is the minimum, really, ideally 10K. But and these are like year-long programs, right? So you're getting phenomenal value, I feel, for that, because you can really go deep as well. There's a lot of things that happen sometimes in a year in people's lives whereby they just in that particular couple of months, something was happening in their health or relationship or business or something. So, but when it's over a year, I feel like that's a really good period of time. And really it needs more than that, but it's a really good starting point to have a good year of life and business together with your clients in your service, to really just go deep in that transformation. So I strongly recommend it's 1 year long, it's high ticket, but you also offer it as a membership. Okay, so it's not a payment plan as such. It's a membership, so people can, they can cancel whenever they want, but the goal is that they're in there for a year. So the membership can still be a year-long membership, right? And I feel like that works really well because people are much more committed. I'm certainly much more committed in programs I've been. It's where I have paid 20K and above, and I've been committed, obviously, because you pay that amount, but not just that, you've got skin in the game, and you're committed. You arrange calls, the calls in your diary. You look at your calendar. Okay, when am I going to do the work? Okay, you're asking the tutor, how long do you think the work will take? You're very dedicated, like you're studying for a degree. That's your commitment, right? And I think that's really important to have that mindset around it. So with your launch of your lucrative service, it's lucrative also because you're thinking about your energy in terms of boundaries. Okay, so if you have a 20K offer, and you don't have to have 20K offer if you don't want, but a 20K offer or 15K offer, it's only 50 people to hit 7 figures. And also you can lower that right to 5K. Do a price point that feels good to you, but also is a bit of a stretch. And remember, this isn't just about money. This is also about, you can actually start, this is about your legacy, right? So when you can actually start to employ staff and better software, that can make a huge difference. Okay, so like, for example, I'm recording this right now on StreamYard. I don't have to use StreamYard. I could just go live in my Facebook group, and I would suggest that that's how you start. Just, you have Facebook, it's free, set up a group, just like, if you're watching this in my group, Wealthy Warrior Leaders, set up a Facebook group, set up some membership questions. I would strongly advise that you ensure that people answer the questions, because if they can't answer just a couple of questions just to enter a free group, then I don't think that they're really that coachable. That's just my opinion. So that's not to be harsh, but it's just sort of like, why waste your time serving an audience who just aren't, if they're not willing to do the work, that's totally fine. No one's asking them to. But then you also want to make sure you're providing a service for those who want the service. If they don't want the service, that's fine. We don't want to waste your time, especially when you're a busy parent like me. Like, your time is everyone's time is precious, of course. But what I mean is, your time isn't always your own, right? So, for example, right now, like I've made a decision. I want to record this now. But otherwise, I would be meditating, going to bed, or getting stuff ready for their school tomorrow. So I'm intentional with how I'm spending my time, and you should be too. So equally, we want to be intentional with the people we're going to work with. So I'd really write that down. I wouldn't really focus too much on the avatar and all of that. I think that's quite old now. But instead, really focusing more on the characteristics rather than, what color they are and their age and all of that. I mean, I think there's been enough discrimination in the world. I just focus on the character, like what is it that they're into. So for me, they are most likely probably healers, or they are definitely a servant leader. They are providing a service of some sort, or they want to. And for me, they're probably a parent, or a carer, or a guardian, or something like that. And they are probably a professional, which is why, or just come out corporate, and that's made them think of starting a business in a different way of doing things. So I think that's really important. Now, with the launch of your service, the biggest thing I would say is don't overthink it. You don't overthink it, just get started. This is exactly what I did when I was 34 weeks pregnant and started my coaching business. You can really overthink it with a lot of, I mean, of course, you need to plan ahead, but you don't need to plan so much because a lot of it will change as you go along, right? My business has changed. I mean, the essence of it has always changed, has always been I'm a healer and it's to do with leadership. And it's obviously a business, it's a healing business. But as I learned more and more about business, and I had more and more of my colleagues who are doctors, lawyers, bankers, coming and asking me, like, how have you got started? How have you set up? Like, how did you make it award winning? Like, tell me what you're doing. They're always watching what I'm doing. So as I got more into business, I got more, I added in that sort of career business leadership element to my coaching, because people, if anything, at one point I was saying more people coming about that than the actual healing program I'd actually set up. And this is the thing with niche. I think it was, I can't remember, somebody had asked me about niche. So with niche, you can do this for any niche. Okay, honestly, any niche can work. It's about your belief. Okay. But what I would say is that the three main niches are health, wealth, and relationships. Okay. Now, obviously, health, that can be any type of health, mental, emotional, physical, chronic diseases, etc. I don't think you need to be a doctor in order to help people with their health. I do, however, think that if you're not a doctor or a nurse, that you may want to consider. That's the only thing that I do think you might have some kind of certification for, or if it's something legal, or just to really ensure that you really know what you're talking about. I mean, sometimes you're with coaching, with online training, you're just giving your own experience and the journey that you've been on, and you're just suggesting a course, as in a course, like a timeline that other people could follow should they wish to. So just be mindful of that in terms of disclaimers and that side of things. But otherwise, the next niche is wealth. So that will be in terms of wealth, career, life purpose, business, okay, being a business coach. And then finally, relationships. Okay, so this is relationships with yourself. So self-esteem, self-concept, marriage, love, partnerships, whatever you call it, whatever you want to call it, parenting, guardianship, inner child, healing trauma. So obviously there's overlaps, right, between these different niches, but there are so many niches, and there's subdivisions of each one, and so there's so much. But I personally would say, don't worry about competition also, because competition is good because it shows that there is demand in this particular area. I don't believe that's something, oh, it's so saturated now and all of that. I don't think about that. When I went to start medicine, I didn't think about, oh, but medicine's so competitive, I might not ever get it. I never thought that. And do you know why? Why I never thought that? Because my sister was in medical school all the time. My dad is a doctor. My so many of my friends growing up were doctors or going for medicine or in medical school, and their parents were doctors too. So the cohort, I know it's a very privileged upbringing, so I do appreciate that. But what it teaches us is that this is the same thing, like as Jim Rohn says, it's about the people that you surround yourself with. So because that for me was like a normal environment, right, where everyone around me is doctors. It was my choice to be a doctor, but to be honest, there weren't as many other choices. So for me, it was quite a normal thing. I grew up in a doctor's family. Lots of other people are doctors. Lots of friends are doctors. So, we're all revising, all talking about the medical exams and what course are you going on, what revision course are you going on, in the summer to practice your interview skills. We're all going for it. No one's saying we're not going for it. It's like there was no question of, well, what if you don't get it? It was just sort of like, oh, so the question was different. It wasn't what if you don't get it. The question said was, which university are you going to go to? Do you see what I mean? There's a huge intention behind that. Which university do you want to go to? So I think that's so important to really go with that intention. And there may be a slightly different pathway, right? Like for me, the initial university I want to get into, I didn't get into. And then a couple of months later, I did get into like the best university for me, Barts London. Whoop, whoop. But Barts London Royal School of Medicine and Dentistry. And actually, this university ended up being far better for me, the university for me, because it's very much more clinical, a lot more practical, a lot more interactive with their learning, and actually suited me so much better. So actually, Spirit, the divine, really has your back. Even if at the time you're like, why did I not get this my first choice? It's because there's a better plan. There's a better plan, and you may not be able to see the whole picture at that time, but right now I'm like looking back, so glad it happened that way. And now I'm a medical lecturer and I'm an examiner for medical students. I've been on the Royal College of General Practitioners board. Like, I really feel that all of these things maybe would have happened anyway. Who knows? But, well, God knows. But sorry, I should have brought my coffee up. But I know now that it was meant to be this pathway, okay, because of all the learning that I've learned along this pathway. So in the same way, when you really surround yourself with people who are entrepreneurs, who are spiritual, also servant leaders, going for it in their niche, you don't think about competition, just think about what you love to do. That is it. And how you're going to make it happen. And how you're going to make it happen is also learning about marketing and business. But you don't need to be a tech whiz or anything. You just need to just learn from a point of really wanting to get your message out there into the world. Okay. So